Welcome to the international audience, to this newsroom about PACKZ 9.5. I'm Pascal Wiebo. I'm product manager of the PDF editors in hybrid software. Before I start this web session, I would do some housekeeping with you. Everybody that has joined the session has been put on mute. Also, your webcam is not active neither. If you have questions during this session, you can post them in the Q&A part of the Zoom, not in the chat, but in the Q&A. And if you have to run out for something urgent, please, I would like to remind you that we record this session as well, and that will be published in the course of 24 hours in our media center, so a little bit later, even at the end about it. So the actual version of PACKZ is version 9.5. So everybody knows that hybrid software has two professional PDF editors for any printing process. They are running on Windows and Mac. I am always demonstrating on a Mac. And if you care about processors, well, you have to know that we are compatible with the M silicon processors of Apple, but also Intel if it's Windows related. For the PACKZ product family, the flagship PDF editor is, of course, PACKZ. But if you are more interested in using the application to drive your digital printing presses, and you do not need all the whistles and bells related to classic printing, then you can go for Steps. If you are in need of a professional PDF viewer that can open and quickly view your complex files online on your workstation, then you can go for PACKZ View. And if you are searching for automation solutions, then you have to know that the actual version PACKZ 9.5, Steps 9.5 will become available with ClowFlow 2403. This is the version that will be launched in March. So if you wonder if you can access already the version, I would like to remind you that for Latin America, there will be the 12th of February, a Spanish session that will be given by myself. And next Friday, there will also be a French session that I organize as well. But for software, if you want to download and upgrade, you will have to have a maintenance contract that is covering January 2024. Download the software in an automatic way because the application may inform you that a new version has become available. We never over-install of the old version. We always put it aside for security reasons. And PACKZ 9.5 is actually covering 85 unique features and enhancements that we align with the user community and with the industry. And we also introduce a new application. In this newsroom, I'm going to introduce the new application Capture 3D. We are going to talk about trap efficiency and quality using the trap rules. We are going to talk about impositions and step and repeats for cut and stack labels using PACKZimizer. And we are also going to talk about color space to guarantee color consistency between the different printing methods. Every new feature comes every new version comes with unique features. So I will demonstrate the most important ones. And the first thing I would like to introduce is Capture 3D. So Capture 3D is actually an application that we have developed to offer you advanced warp solutions, and that take actually production machinery and substrates into account. If I would ask you how many warp solutions that hybrid software offers to you, of course, you are on mute, I will answer for you. You most likely are going to say, well, hybrid software already has a shrink sleeve solution. And that's correct. We actually offer symmetric and asymmetric shrink sleeves already today. But with PACKZ 9.5, we are launching a new solution. We call it the Advanced Warp Solution together with and supporting application Capture 3D. But for who is Capture 3D? Well, Capture 3D is for every converter and trade shop that is heavily into shrink sleeves, because we think at Hybrid Software that people that want to offer a supreme shrink sleeve quality to the market, that Capture 3D should be a commodity in their shrink sleeve processes. But this application can also be used by tunnel machinery suppliers. In fact, those machines that shrink using heat, the sleeve around the model. So briefly, I want to say, if you already have the shrink sleeve warp solutions of PACKZ, that you will be able to offer an excellent service to your quality using your simulated deformation grids for symmetric shrink sleeves. You see here an example of a symmetric shrink sleeve on the right-hand side, together with a snapshot of the 2D design and user interface in PACKZ. But when we talk about asymmetric shrink sleeves, that's what you see here in the picture, then we think today you can offer a good quality with the simulated deformation grids. Simulated deformation grids are actually based on a 3D model that was created with an IC3D, for instance, and where theoretically a shrink sleeve have been wrapped around. Of course, that simulated grid that is a result out of this, does not contain any information on how is the substrate behaving with certain heat or vapor on the tunneling machine. And therefore, we have come with Capture 3D to actually capture the shrink sleeve tunnel machine and the substrate characteristics into the deformation grid in order to give an unmatched quality and a very high quality distortion grid that can be used to pre-distort the artwork into PACKZ. And the reason as well is that if you want to have a perfect distortion, to compensate that deformation, we know and we have seen over the last 6 to 8 years that simulated grids overcompensate. You can typically see that on the left-hand side of this slide here, what a simulated grid is going to give you. And you see on the right-hand side in the green frame what an actual grid is giving when substrate and tunnel machinery is taken into account. You see, it's a big difference. Of course, if you look then to the details, for instance, this Fruity Bear Smell banner, it will be okay, but the perfect compensation is given to you thanks to Capture 3D. If you are going to talk to your customers, they are going to have it about dead zones, zones where no design is mostly applied because the deformation is so heavily and dangerous that you have no control anymore on what is going to happen. But thanks to the Capture 3D grids, your deformation is accessible, is perfect. And that means that to your customer, you can offer a more visual appeal. And that means on these dead zones that they can also put brand identification as well. And you can bring brand awareness on the shrink sleeve label as well. And this sounds, of course, very attractive to the shrink sleeve label industry that are in need, because if they can put more on the label, the better. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to explain you that in just a few seconds from now. But here on the right-hand side, you see as well that I use machinery for that. So I actually created a pattern that you also see on the screenshot here, and I shrinked it around, and it is actually deformed. How do you make now this pattern? Well, you are going to use PACKZ 9.5 to do so. So if I'm going to take a design, yeah, voila, it's going to open it. I'm going to enlarge it that you can clearly see everything on screen. So what I did was I created a 3D model, yeah, and I have a design for which I have dimensions. I will select a shape on which I want to apply the pattern, and within the pre-press menu of PACKZ, you will find the Capture 3D pattern generator. We have several options because you will see on the roadmap from PACKZ that we are also going to use the same technology for metal can or eventually as well for thermodeforming. But at the moment, we released the solution for shrink sleeve, where we are going to type the resolution of the checkerboard color pattern that we want. We can also make it in different colors if that is needed, yeah, because you will have to print it. And we are going to place it on the design. So it's appearing in the background. I'm just going to disable this. I'm just going to zoom in. Yeah, this is how it looks like. Yeah, so you are going to print it with an offset press, a flexo press, a proofer, a digital press, and you will also use your shrink technology, your tunnel devices to shrink it around the 3D model. Once you have done that, you can do it for one sample. You put it in the capturing dome that you see on the camera right here, and then Capture 3D is going to come into the picture, where you, and I just move it over here, make a dozen of pictures of the 3D shape. This is going to be the picture that is coming out of it. But in fact, there is also a wireframe, a grid that is going to appear as well. And that grid is going to be exchanged in an IC3D file format from Capture 3D to IC3D so that you can do modeling in IC3D, but it is also going to be transferred with IC3D into PACKZ so that you can deform it. Now, if you are wondering how I did that capturing, yeah, I'm actually using hardware for that. I'm using camera devices. And if you are thinking that you need very high-end 3D scanners for that, well, that's not the case. You can actually use consumer cameras that are just available in your electronics shop. For Capture 3D, we have created a document which hardware requirements are needed. So in my case, I was using two Canon EOS 2000D reflex cameras. I put them on a tripod, yeah, and I'm using a rotating turntable and a dome from Orange Monkey connected directly with my Capture 3D over Bluetooth. Now, once you have this, yeah, and if you go back to PACKZ, there we go, and you apply actually your 2D design on it, then you can actually start doing the deformation. As you can see on your right-hand side, since PACKZ 9, we have our ray tracing, and I have a very clear view on what will happen without deformation. I see, for instance, that the hybrid logo and the side panel is a little bit shrinked and incorrect. I want to have it rectangular. I'm going to select it, go to the shrink sleeve warping options that I have, and I'm going to simply click warp. And there you go. You instantly see the deformation on the and pre-distortion on the left-hand side. That's what you're going to print. And after printing and tunneling, this is how it will look on the trigger spray on the bottle. I can also look to the side panels because it contains some critical design information. I can select everything, for instance, and simply warp it as well. And in this way, my barcode will appear rectangular, the nutrition panel and the text block and the hybrid logo as well. And then, of course, I can talk about the critical parts at the bottom here. yeah, that I can also warp if I want to, and it sounds and it looks perfect as well. The logo of hybrid software, I can warp as well. And then the dead zone. So the dead zone over here, I'm just going to zoom in. Yeah, there you go. The text is definitely not readable, but when I'm going to select it and I want to put something in it for more brand awareness, I just put my text, my design elements on it, select it, and I'm going to simply warp it. And now you can see, thanks to Capture 3D, even in the dead zones, you can put artwork. And in this way, I have showed you what Capture 3D 9.5, PACKZ 9.5, and IC3D makes so unique. The benefits of Capture 3D for shrink sleeves in your production is that we are going to provide you distortion grids based on production machinery, that I can use that same distortion grid for 3D simulation using IC3D, but also for distortion, pre-distortion in PACKZ. So you have much more efficiency because you use the same information in your 3D application and into PACKZ. The high definition scanning solution is going to give you a lot of time saving, because besides giving you pre-distortion, you can also measure the stability of your shrink tunnel by measuring multiple of these samples. Measuring a sample takes around 3 minutes. So if you want to have 10 of this in 30 minutes, you can also check the repeatability of your shrink tunnel. And once again, hybrid software shows that we have the best in market solution for shrink sleeves. If you want to have pack shots, these pack shots can be taken as well using PACKZ. You can make photos out of it, also with let's say, the ray tracing in it. Of course, if you think on more advanced views that you would like to exchange with your customers, then you may also work with MicroFlow, and from within a web interface, you can give a link, for instance, and the customer can not only watch the 2D design, but can also see a ray trace 3D design, where he can zoom in and zoom out as well in a web browser. The next functionality that we have added to PACKZ 9.5 is related to trapping. Trapping is a legacy functionality. I think the label and packaging industry is talking already more than 40 years, to compensate for registration issues on a printing press. But with trap rules in PACKZ 9.5, we are going to influence the trap edges, in order to increase the trap consistency in the pre-press process on the workstation, or if you are talking about automation, using the automatic pre-press workflows in MicroFlow. How does it look like? Well, I'm going to close this, switch to another design. So there we go. Up. And I'm going to stretch it over the entire display. So everybody knows that we have an interactive trapper with all the whistles and bells in it to control the trapping. But in PACKZ 9.5, in the pre-press menu, you will also find the trap rules. And in this trap rule, you will be able to create a preset. So you can give the preset a name by just double-clicking on it, my preset, for instance, and you can actually manually add trap rules into that. But imagine that you already have trapped a file, then PACKZ can also learn from the interactive modifications that you have done to your file. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to trap the file. I'm actually going to use a big trap distance, so I do not have to zoom in all the time. Imagine that this was your trapping that you have made. Well, if you are going to make a modification, for instance, I want the red be spreaded into the blue, then you can actually tell to the trapping rule engine that to store this information. This information will be taken into account. So actually, you can change the direction. You can give it a name if you want to. And actually, you can, for the trap rule, specify all the parameters based on what you normally should do into the trap properties of the interactive trapper. But there is more. In order to avoid that every single trap rule, you have to add it interactively to it, you can also say, look, I'm going to select multiple traps in one go and use the intelligence of the application to combine everything in one single trap rule that you can give a name. So at the end, you just have to store your trap rule preset. You can actually delete your trapping in an automatic or in a manual way. You simply go to the smart trapper again and you select your new trap rule preset. I forgot the name, so my preset, for instance, I'm just going to go in it. My preset, there you go, you select it, and you will see that instantly the smart trapper is going to use your consistency, your rules that you have implemented to apply the trapping in it. This is rather a very straightforward design to explain what it is, but I can also take something a little bit more advanced for that. Where I have shadings, for instance, there you go, where I may have images in it, or where I have also composite color setups, yeah, where I have for very specific rules as well written out in text. And thus, what can I do is I can combine all of these written rules into a trap rule that will influence all the edges as well. So if I zoom in, for instance, yeah, and I'm going to my smart trapper and will tell my smart trapper, look, you have to use this trap rule preset. You will also be able to apply a more complex trap, like here, the stage trapping that allows you to create smooth traps like a shading. And in this way, I come to the end of explaining trap rules to influence the trap edges, give you the consistency and the quality. And I would like to remind you that modifying the smart trapper is an ongoing process. I would like to remind you that since PACKZ 9, we have added the stage trapper. And now in PACKZ 9.5, we have added the trap rules. If you will come to Drupal, and we would show you a sneak preview of PACKZ 10, you will see much more in the upcoming version as well. The third topic that I would like to cover with you is stacked label printing. Stacked labels are most of the time produced using offset printing presses on a big sheet of paper, a substrate. And if we are asking the industry on how they are going to make the impositions, well, they are going to say, well, we create an imposition that gives the best usage of the paper, meaning we want to have, with a minimum of paper, have our entire run of all the thousands of labels we want to produce. But they also say, actually, we have 3 approval cycles. So we approve the best imposition, but then we're also going to approve if the imposition that is suggested is good for printing, meaning we have to align the imposition with the inking system, and if it's okay for cutting and finishing. So sometimes they are putting embellishments on it, and these embellishments may influence as well the imposition. And we learned out of that the Packzimizer step and repeat solutions that are several years now already available need some enhancements in it. And for that, we have actually added new algorithms that take that will create an imposition with minimum substrate, maximum substrate uses and minimum substrate loss. We have also added minimum cuts, but also minimum sheet turns, because the less you have to turn that big size of paper, the better for your production. But we also added editing tools so that you can adjust the imposition for your printing and finishing. So let's have a look how it looks like in PACKZ. And for that, I'm going to go to PACKZizer. So when you have the PACKZizer, you will have different algorithms available. If we are talking about stack labels, we are going to cut that with a guillotine cutting machine. And there we're going to choose the guillotine cut algorithm. Of course, we have different ways of setting the plate size, the paper size, the gripper edge. But one of the possibilities is that I'm going to load the information coming from a data management system, an ERP system, an MIS solution. So there you go. You can do that in CSV. You can do that with JSON file format. And in here, you will see that I have loaded 4 different labels. These 4 different labels have different sizes. I have, for instance, a rectangular label. I may have as well a rectangular label that I later on will push with a puncher to get the final shape. And it's nice if you have 2 labels that belong to the same series, yeah, that you can keep them together as well, using groups. And then every of these group can have also different settings like head-to-head, foot-to-foot, and also different gaps between the labels. I see there is a question coming in. I will answer it later on, just after my PACKZizer. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I can also set what my preferred cut direction is. So this is something new we have added, but we also added the optimization types. Do you want to have, for instance, an imposition that is optimized for a minimum consumption of sheets, so a maximum coverage of your sheet? Then you select it and you click on PACKZize. And after a few seconds, PACKZ is going to come up with imposition possibilities where you can choose from. In this case, for instance, I have 112 sheets that needs 118 cuts, but cutting can take a lot of time and you have to turn it. So if I'm going back, I can actually influence the imposition by telling, look, my optimization should be with a minimum number of cuts. So I selected it, I go to my PACKZizer, and actually it's going to come up most likely with impositions where you are going to consume a little bit more paper. In this case, I'm going from around 1,100 sheets to 3,500. That's definitely not the solution that I'm going to use. But for instance, this one, where I am going to use an imposition of 1,250 sheets, the cost of my sheet is less compared to the number of cuts and time that I will need, because I go from 120 cuts to only around 70 cuts. If I agree with that, I create the PDF file, the imposition, and then from PACKZ 9.5, yeah, we are going to offer you a new window. There you go, the guillotine cut window that will give you an overview of the products that are ganged together with the requested amount and the overrun. But we are also giving through the toolbox also 2 different tools, a label cut tool and a block cut tool. The label cut tool gives me the possibility to, for instance, change the order of the distribution of the labels within a block. And for instance, tell, look here on position 1, I actually want to have the label 2 on it, because in color consistency, it's going to be better. Or I can also use the block tool that I'm going to select, for instance, to add more labels to the block as well, and instantly you will see it has an influence on the run length and also on the cut. There are other solutions as well in it to influence the position, the alignment, for instance, as well, but this was already available into PACKZ 9. If you want to finish this by adding cutting marks, then the cutting marks can be added using the live objects that is for a long time already available into PACKZ. There you go. But what is most important as well is that this cutting information can be exchanged with your guillotine cut machine. And that means that you can export this using the zip, and activating the option include cut information with your guillotine cutter. Yeah, so there is a question as well. Can you create cutting rules for rotary die cutters? Yes, we can do that as well. And are there any tools for corrugated market, both preprint and postprint? Yes, there are also solutions for corrugated. I suggest that you take contact with our sales team, and we can make a meeting online or on site to tell you what we have for these markets as well. Okay, we stay just for 1 minute more on PACKZimizer because we also created a slight modification for PACKZimizer related to roll-to-roll flexible packaging and also label printing. So I'm going to clear everything, and what I'm going to do is loading a job coming from an ERP or MIS solution using the JSON file format up into it. Oh, I loaded the same file. That's not correct. I have to take the lane planner. There you go. Up, and my labels will be in there. It's narrow web label printing. Now, if I take this and I'm requesting PACKZ to show me a distribution of the labels over the different lanes, then I will be able to produce this entire batch of labels with 287 meters of substrate. However, we got from the user base the remark that the labels are sometimes spread over the different lanes, and that becomes complicated when I have to slit and rewind the labels and deliver it to the customer. So we were asking, what do you want? Well, they said, we want to keep them on the same lane, and we have added a new option to PACKZimizer 9.5 for lane planner, and giving you the possibility to use just a little bit more paper, but actually reducing, putting the labels actually on the same lane. And for PACKZ 10, there are a whole bunch of new features that will be added to PACKZimizer as well. The fourth topic that I would like to cover is the color space option of PACKZ. Well, what we've done as well is we align our color management with design application. And one of the most requested options was the Adobe's black point compensation, because that gives you the ability to align PACKZ with the Adobe editors like Illustrator and InDesign. That means as well that we can influence the viewing, and we can do also our conversion of colors more in line for people that are used to work with black point compensation in Adobe solutions. So where do you find that? Well, through the preferences of PACKZ, you can actually here activate in the color management preferences the use black point compensation always, or you can turn it off and choose through the paint convert colors at the moment that you need the black point compensation, if you want to use the black point compensation, yes or no. I would like to tell you that all the color conversions that are using the standard PACKZ solution. That means the color conversions using PDF libraries, for instance, or regular device link and ICC profiles, that these color conversions can be automated as well using PACKZ. I'm not going to demonstrate that because the color conversion will be happening, but since you are not watching on a color calibrated monitor, it is not worth it to spend too much detail on that, but we have added new actions to it to actually apply profiles and setting working space profiles as well. If you are more interested in applying dot gain compensation curves to control the dot gain, but also the minimum dot for flexo, for instance, then we have added this automation as well into PACKZ 9.5. But there is much more that we have done. You have noticed as well that PACKZ 9.5 has another tab called Color Logic. Well, we have implemented the new Color Logic SDK, meaning that we have access to the Color Logic engine as well, without the need of using the applications for Color Logic to do the conversion. You can stay in PACKZ. PACKZ is an all-in-one application that is used to make your design print ready for 4 colors, 5 colors, 6, 7, so a multicolor printing environment. And for that, I'm going to open also a document, a generic document containing some CMYK, some spot colors, but also this color patches as well. So I have CMYK, as you can see, I measure it with the densitometer, and I have spot colors in it. Now, through the color space option, I can, for instance, browse to one of my profiles that has become available from a FlexoPress, for instance. There you go. I load it in. Instantly, based on your profile, there is going to be a device link profile made in the background that are going to take into account my settings that I have selected from my preset, for instance. And actually, it's going to give me the color deviation that I have in when I would convert these spot colors, for instance, to my expanded Flexo 7-color color space. Of course, I can influence it. So imagine that I say, look, I do not want to have more than 2 colors, or I would like to have 3 colors. So on the fly, PACKZ is going to communicate with the color space option and create a device link color profile that is also cached in the application. And when everything is done, you simply have to click the convert all, and the magic happens in an automatic way. And when everything is ready, I would be able to measure the color conversion as well. That will take some seconds. It is done. It's going to give you a summary, which objects that have been influenced. But here, I keep it now with my spot colors. There are only 2 colors used for bluish. There is no black in it because I explicitly asked through the spot color refinement to only have 2 channels in it. And in this way, I actually show you how fast with presets and easy you can do your color conversion in PACKZ, and it's also consistent and repeatable. If you would like to report color information back, please note that through the variables, for instance, and if I'm going to the page variables, you will have access as well to all the color conversion information through variables. I see, of course, that some questions are coming in. Yeah, where can I find more info about quality control in PACKZ 9.5? I will talk about it in a few minutes, and then I will also tell you that through our website from Hybrid Software, you will find all the necessary information on that as well. If you don't find something, well, we are just an email, a phone call away. Drop us a message, and we can do a web session as well. But indeed, in PACKZ 9.5, we also added northward the enhancement. Nothing new, but just important to mention. For instance, about pre-flight and quality control. If you would like to use auto-bleed, for instance, I made over the last 2 versions lots of publicity that we have a PACKZ for that. But if we are offering standard solutions through our hybrid store, well, sometimes wishes come in as well, and we can make improvements. And that means that from PACKZ 9.5 on, you will find the auto bleed in the pre-press menu. You specify if you want to use one of the page boxes or a dedicated trim pad, like in this label. You specify the bleed distance, and instantly you are going to see that the bleed is added. And when you are going to zoom in on the area, the big difference with the auto bleed offered with the hybrid store through PACKZ and the auto bleed that is standard implemented in PACKZ 9.5 is that we use artificial intelligence to actually extend the object and respect the shape and the direction of the object. Of course, we have added some other features as well. Many people are using the PACKZ Braille detector, and if you want to detect Braille, for instance, well, PACKZ was always using the ECMA standard, from the European Cardboard Manufacturer Association. Well, we have to tell you that the ECMA standard is very strict, and we saw as well that 27 countries have a deviation on that standard, but that deviation was not detected by us. So now in PACKZ 9.5, when you are going to use the Braille detector and you have a deviation on it, most likely a small deviation in the size of the dots or the distance between the Braille dots, we take this deviation into account, and we will be able to tell you that there is Braille into the file. Of course, for those that are participating from the United States, you may also have to create nutrition panels, and the text size should be also conform the standards that are ruled out. Well, in PACKZ, analyze and fix through PACKZ or through the presets, you will find now also the CFR 101.2 C violation detector. You just enable it, and we are going to tell you what text in this nutrition panel is not conform this US standard, and you will be able through the text engine to make last-minute corrections to it, or you are going to simply send it back to your customer as being not conform for printing. If you want to make QR codes, and I see somebody attending here the web session that explicitly was asking for not square QR codes, but rectangular QR codes, like you see here on that test tube for pharma industry. Well, you will be able as well to create that with PACKZ, and you can also use it in your variable data printing solutions. And for people that have round trip, meaning importing Illustrator files and convert them using PACKZ to PDF, well, then we also have a nice new feature as well in it. There we go. I select that Illustrator file. I'm going to say I import the Illustrator file. Now, everybody knows that when the font is not active, then on your system, we are going to use a replacement font. So the Gotham font is not available. We replaced it by Arial. But if I'm going to my text finder and I would search for the word shampoo, for instance, you will see that PACKZ is still able to tell you, yes, there you have the word shampoo. And the reason is very easy. So even if the font is not available, we are going to put the live characters that we got from Illustrator still in the PDF without paint. Yeah, so they have no paint in order to make it searchable. And the second advantage is if you disagree and you want to replace it again by a live text, that through the text engine of PACKZ, you will be able to do so as well. And in this way, yeah, I have come almost to the end. We can summarize. Well, PACKZ has 85 new features and enhancements in the application. I cannot show them all, but the most important ones I highlighted here. It's a new Capture 3D application for string sleeve labels. It's the PACKZimizer step and repeat solutions with new tools and enhancements in it. We have the color space that guarantees the color consistency between your different printing methods as well. And in the Smart Wrapper, we have added the trap rules. If you want to discover all the other 85 that I didn't explain, well, PACKZ comes with a reference manual. All the new features are clearly highlighted with a 9.5 icon. Yeah, in the manual, if you do not want to go through every page individually, there are more than 350 pages, then download the What's New document because it lists all the new features as well. And thus, the only thing I'm asking is upgrade as quickly as possible to PACKZ 9.5 and take advantage of all the innovative productivity tools and technologies that we offer with this new version. I have answered the questions that were asked already. I'm just going to check if there are new ones in it. There are no new ones, so please, if you have questions, type them in the Q&A section of the Zoom session. Yeah, I see that people are telling that I also should mention the collaboration with Koenig & Bauer and Hybrid Software. Yes, this is indeed the case. There is definitely going to be dedicated web sessions for this. But by this, yeah, I have done. Okay, so if you have questions related to PACKZ 9.5 or steps 9.5 or Capture 3D 9.5, please drop them now. Don't be afraid. So nothing is coming. So then I'm going to continue. So if you want to watch my web session again, from tomorrow on, it will be available in our media center. If you want to meet up with us, well, everybody has the mouthful of Drupa that will take place in May this year. But if you go to our event hub, you will find beside the newsrooms also other events, exhibitions like C-Print, film packaging, open house, up to huddles from Hybrid Software. We also do events with business partners like CERM, and you will find dozens of them for this year already listed in our event hub. So thank you so much, everyone, to take your time and listen to this PACKZ 9.5 event. And from now, thank you so much and see you soon on one of my next web sessions or an event from Hybrid Software or our partners. Goodbye.